You're listening to Achtung Millwall, broadcasting from the beautiful South Bermondsey. Accept no substitute.
Welcome, dear listeners. Welcome to a grey and overcast afternoon in South Bermondsey. I described it as high noon, walking along John Berylson Way outside. It's actually high 3 o'clock in the afternoon, of course. We are just about to see the entrance of today's two sides, Mill and Sheffield Wednesday, in what must be surely a make or break game for manager Joe Edwards after that debacle on Wednesday night in front of the Sky television cameras. An embarrassment of a performance. Here come the two teams, as you can hear. Today's Millwall side, dear listeners, Sarkic in goal, a back three of Jake Cooper, Tanganga and Ryan Leonard, Wallace and McNamara in the two wing-back positions. In front of them, Denor and Honeyman, Romanes, Sazy and Fleming, and up front, Tom Bradshaw on the bench. On the bench, Bar Bielkowski, Billy Mitchell, Ryan Longwood, Adam Mayor, Brooke Norton, Cuffey, Duncan Watmore, Idemo Marku, Jules Saville and Wes Harding. No sign of Obafemi, ill on Wednesday, still ill today, who knows. I thought I read he was going to be back for this game, but clearly not, dear listeners. What do we make of the situation we find ourselves in? I was going to say must win. I would say this must be a decent performance, listeners, because what we saw on Wednesday night was not acceptable under any format of the game, and we need not to lose for sure. I think we can probably live with a draw, albeit under sufferance, but certainly a win is vital. Vital really for Joe Edwards' career as a manager, in my opinion, because the free and easy talk, as I was just outside with one or two of from some of the boys from that Millwall podcast I was talking to down by the Blue Bus. Yes, we do talk to each other, but I think the general feeling around the den is that this is last chance saloon for Joe Edwards, which I think will be a huge pity, because I like the aim and the ambition of what he's trying to do, but we just cannot continue with those patsy performances, dear listeners. I've been looking at all the remaining fixtures for the season using what I've come to call the Kerblishing method, which I forever seem to feel like a birth control method. The Kerblishing method of trying to find must-win games. I'm going to put this in a must-win category, dear listeners. Even though I've just said we can live with a draw, it will be with swallowing bitter poison. If we get a draw, we really do need a win this afternoon. Sheffield Wednesday come into the game second from bottom, 26 points. A win today for Millwall, fourth from bottom at the moment on 33, will put us 10 points clear of them, and who knows how QPR will get on today, then we'll see. I'm just waiting for the two teams to line up. Millwall will be attacking the away into the first half, as per a combination this week of Geoffrey Chaucer reporting on the Venable Beads writings in the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle. I'm going to throw Geoffrey Chaucer into the mix more often. That's a suggestion from John Rankin. Big shout out to John. So we're ready to go. Romanes is going to kick us off. Away we go, dear listeners. So yeah, for me, dear listeners, just my opinion, more than anything else, we want a performance this afternoon. I think the result is massively important. Want to win, but let's not be seeing any more of the what we saw in the first half, which was basically a team that weren't trying. But there we are. We've said enough about that game. A lot of coppers around the scene this afternoon. I don't know if they're expecting a firm down from Sheffield Wednesday or what they're expecting, but there's a lot of police presence knocking around. Crowd is not full house by any stretch. I've got plenty of empty seats around me up in the Groupon stand. I wouldn't want to guess. It's always hard to guess crowds now because there's an official attendance, which is often the number of tickets sold rather than bums are on seats here. Crowd are into it. Anyway, it looks like it's a hardcore Millwall crowd here, listeners, rather than Tourism City. This is an early break forward. That's going to be a right-sided corner. Tom Bradshaw chasing down the ball and throwing on the right side. Inside the first minute, it's going to be Jules Honeyman to take on the right side. What I wouldn't give for an early goal, dear listeners. What would you give? My heart and my soul. Anyway, here it comes to the corner. Floats it in the post. It's Tanganga puts it wide on the volley. I can't see the aforesaid fat cunt in the green, listeners. From my angle, I can't see the away end. Just 1 point from our last 24. I'm losing count of how many points we've let drift, and we've just got the 1 point from them. We can't continue with that kind of form. Joe Edwards' career is on the line. Would you sack him, listeners? A lot would have been sacking him from what I'm picking up around the scene. Good shoulder challenge there. Who's that? That was Danny Mack. Good work there. Good applause. Myself? I'm stuck with Mill sentimentality, listeners. I've been cursed with it for the last 50 plus years, ever since I started coming down here. I want the boys to succeed. I want us to play a better level of football. I want it to work. That said, if we get beat this afternoon, I can't see how he can survive. But I'm hoping, I can't pray to anything, but I'm hoping desperately that we get 3 points. Make a big difference to our morale and boost the season. The thing is that bothers me is how we have these patches, a decreasing patch, because it was half an hour of brilliant football against Middlesbrough. I think it was 20 minutes worth of brilliant football, or good football, against Coventry, I think. And then against Ipswich in the week, just 10 minutes of brilliant football. So we should be looking for a brilliant first 5 minutes here. Let's move down the middle of that. It's gone wide for a goal kick, unfortunately, from Tom Bradshaw. 4.5 minutes into the game, dear listeners. Millwall in free fall as love is not in the air. What a great headline by Dan Marsh on the South London Press, London News Online. Millwall in free fall as love is not in the air at the Den. On Valentine's night, of course, massacre, as someone else put it in one of our voice notes. Valentine's Day massacre. Was that a Capone hit? I need to check with Chicago Joe on that question. Incidentally, big thank you to everyone that sends me voice notes. Do send me your voice messages. Post-match, midweek, as the fancy takes you, really. You can get me on X. You can send direct messages on X. Press the little sound button on the direct message and it'll start recording. I think you have to keep your finger pressed on it for it to record, but that'll just buzz me for a message on X, or else if you've got my mobile number, you can voicemail me by WhatsApp or email me and we can do a swapsy of mobile numbers. Then you can WhatsApp me again. There are many ways that you can contact Achtung Millwall, dear listeners. But do keep talking to me. I love the voice note shows. They're really nice ones to do. Yeah, so what was I saying? But Joe Edwards, the potential remains there. Whether Joe Edwards is a decent manager in a motivational sense, I think is the great unknown. None of us on the terraces. I know we're all seating now, but I'm going to use the expression on the terraces because it's just flows off my tongue. None of us really know the ins and outs of the dressing room, but Jake gets clipped there, free kick inside the Mill half. So we don't know what kind of manager he is. We don't know how he motivates the room at half time. I mean, 3-0 down. Apparently the team were broken, as he put it, in the post-match interviews that he did. So whether he's a rant raver, losing his temper, well, who knows what kind of manager he is. But his footballing ideas are ones that I would love to see implemented at the Den. Now, whether it's him that implements them or somebody else, that's another question, isn't it? So attention, there's going to be a free kick Millwall. Tom Bradshaw wins a left-sided free kick, about halfway inside the Sheffield Wednesday half. So George Honeyman to float it in it comes. It's deep. Oh, it evades free Millwall. I think they've given offside. There was Jake, there was Tanganga, and there was Romanete. But all offside, unfortunately. It just drifted wide right. I'm just looking at some of my Spark notes. I do bring Spark notes on the phone anyway. Items to discuss during these shows, listeners. And I've written on there Mocha Joe's unwise apology. This was Joe Bryan, good tackle there. That's what the crowd want to see. That was Danny Mack. Wins a right-sided throw-in. Mocha Joe's unwise apology. He's obviously suspended for that elbow on the Coventry Sakamoto, I think it was. FA have seen it on TV and have issued a free-match apology, and he's written like a soppy apology. It's a long cross going nowhere, unfortunately, from Jake. Goal kick. When I won't repeat the apology, all it needs is Simon Bates' Our Tune underneath it. I might do that. for a laugh. I might not. It's a bit juvenile. I might do it then. Just wants the Achtung music underneath Joe Bates's unwise apology. He got slaughtered for it online because Joe, I think it might have worked at Fulham, Joe, but at Millwall you gain points and kudos by elbowing talented players in the face. At Millwall it's a different ball game, mate. So take your 3-match suspension. Just say nothing. Why you got to issue this soppy apology, I don't know. But anyway, he'll learn from that if he stays. Mocha Joe, lover of cappuccino and coffee. 15 minutes in. Lions are showing some intent. Nothing so far from Sheffield Wednesday going forwards. 21 minutes nearly. It's going to be a left-sided throw in Millwall. Where do you stand on the Joe Edwards experiment, listeners? Maybe you can't tell me till after today's game, but do let me know. There's a long ball down the right side channel where the linesman keeps his flag down to Tom Bradshaw. Ball across the face of the goal. That's trying to find Zian, but the defender got his leg to it and it's cleared. Moment there. 22 minutes, so at the halfway point of the first half. So far, hustle, bustle, bit of huff and puff from Millwall. Good effort so far. It's not any kind of footballing exhibition, listeners. Wednesday haven't shown much going forward yet, but the game itself is probably your traditional English biff bang pow type of stuff, you know, but that suits me. Nice work there by Ramones. It forces a left-sided throw-in. Going to be a long one, I think, from Zian. It's in at the near post. It's headed away. Denor finds Zian back on the left wing. Balls into the box. There's a flick header from Tom Bradshaw. Goes wide right. It's a corner. Must have been deflected right. Corner. Right side. 26.5 minutes, listeners. A little bit of Millwall pressure. So yeah, do these players buy into the Joe Edwards projects? Maybe that's got to go on suspension to survive in the Championship. Anyone that thinks relegation is a good thing, like Danny Baker. What goes through people's heads when they say this, including him, I don't know, because League One is a wasteland. You do not want to fall into League One and replenish yourself or come back from the phoenix from the ashes down there. Have a look at where other clubs have been. The ball's in there from the corner. It rolls off of the head of Tanganga. It's gone all the way back to the halfway line. Danny Mack is ball out wide right to Jules Honeyman now. Floats the ball forwards. Jake has stayed forwards. Bit of manhandling on him. The referee gives nothing. There must be some unwritten law at the Football League headquarters that Jake Cooper gets nothing. Oh, there's a rugby tackle. That's fantastic. Listen to the applause. Listen to that, Joe Bryan, Mocha Joe. Jules Honeyman rugby league tackle over there. Took him down, kept him down, given away the free kick, but listen to that applause. If you're listening, Mocha Joe, that's what Millwall's about, mate. Left-sided free kick for Sheffield Wednesday. But the situation got dealt with, and that's what's not been happening lately. Listen, there's 28 minutes. There'll be some added time at the end of the half with that attention to the Wednesday player earlier on. Another long throw in from the 4. Right side, in it comes. Deep. That's bouncing. Oh, close range header. Tipped over. First rule defending, don't let it bounce. They let it bounce, and it was oncoming header from close range. And actually, Sarkic did very well there. Maybe offside there, Kevin. But anyway, great save. Maybe some pushing offside. I don't know what it was. This is free kick Millwall anyway. 45, a nice little jink past Ryan Leonard there, almost a nutmeg. Coming down the left side, ball into the box. 1-0 from close range. Ball across the face of the 6-yard box. Slammed home. 1-0 Wednesday. Beautiful move. 31 minutes. How are we going to react to that, listeners? As against the run of play, it's been a scuffly game so far. But Millwall certainly have been showing plenty of effort, and none of the patsiness that we saw against the opening phase against Ipswich. That was a decent break. Slammed home from close. We've not been that far off the pace. It's been a fairly evenly mediocre contest in truth so far, but that was a nice break at pace and nice cross and finish. Boos are starting up. Can you hear that, listeners? It's not good. That's self-destruction. I know we're not playing well, but it's not been too bad this game so far. The break by Wednesday there's been the first moment of class by anyone, really. It's how we react to it, and I think booing this team will be destructive. And once again, we've got to listen to the away fans sing their songs. Wednesday pressing us very high at the moment, looking to panic our defence. That is like horses, easily panicked. Oh, this is Danny Mack on the right side now. More pressing down the right side. 35 minutes in. Finds Honeyman. This is Romanese on the right side. Balls into the box. Murray's in there. He clatters off the goalkeeper, who goes down clutching his face. Wednesday bring it away. Crowd in rage because the goalkeeper's gone down clutching his face. Ball wide. This is Ryan Leonard. Will he have a go? He will. Shot hard down low, but the goalkeeper takes. First real effort by Millwall. Long range shot by Ryan Leonard. 40 minutes. Goalkeeper's down smartly enough. It wasn't really ever in any great danger, but he had to be down quickly. So I'm clutching at straws here, listeners, aren't I? You can hear the crowd around me. You're starting to turn here. That's never good. It's horrible. Horrible. I don't like it. Takes you back to the dark days of Spackman, Holloway, Lomas. I don't know what's going on in the away end. It was a 45 through on goal. 2-0. 2-0 through down the left side, left channel. 45 scores, 2-0. Just comes towards the 41st minute. Disaster. People going home, listeners. It's not even half time. People are going for the exits. And you can hear the shit, shit, shit chant. Since the first goal, we're showing no kind of cohesion at all. Any decent break forwards, Wednesday are looking dangerous increasingly. No aerial presence. Tom Bradshaw pushed off the ball there. This is Wednesday now on the break. The 14's taking his man on. 42 minutes. Come backwards, thankfully. That was a little bit of a momentum going forwards there. You can hear the booing all around me. They're passing through us like we're not there, like we did against happened against Ipswich. And they've not looked much, listeners. Start of this game, it was scuffle, League One level game. And now they're passing through us like this Real Madrid in the 1950s. Well, the official line has been that the spirit in the squad has been fantastic. I don't buy that for a minute. Something looks deeply wrong within this group of players. It has done for a while. It's looking like it's so this afternoon. Murray lets the ball get past him, and that's just going to enrage the crowd. What do we make of this half, listeners? Well, it's been utter disaster since the first goal from Sheffield Wednesday. We've gone to pieces. Until then, it was huff and puff. Nothing much to report, to be honest with you. But what's really bothering me, as it bothered everyone that was here on Wednesday, is the lack of spirit in the side and the lack of cohesion. So let's hope we can make it through to half-time at just 2-0 down, listeners. Because if we go 3-0 down, I don't know what's going to happen around me. The stadium is visibly empty. Ball over the top. Bradshaw, second best their goalkeeper, cleared it. This is Wednesday now on a break on the left. Bradshaw getting shaken off the ball every time. Little physical presence from him. I'll ask him to do a big striker's job. The guy he's up against is looks like Lurch from the Adams family. Aimless balls forwards, finding no one. No one to aim at, in truth. We have no forward presence, really. Tom Bradshaw looks like a midget against two fairly giant Sheffield Wednesday central defenders. And we're just sending looping balls forward like you might do as I always compare it with on a Sunday morning around at Bexham Park. I am bored, listeners. I'm bored with having the piss taken out of us. I'm bored with the utter crap being served up in the Millwall shirt. I'm bored with these games where one goal and we collapse. I can't see Joe Edwards surviving out of this. I don't know where we go. I think relegation's looking at ever more realistic prospects, and there's absolutely no need. It's the waste of it all. That's the thing that's really digging my, itching my arse, listeners. No, he's called it. There you go. Half-time, Millwall 0, Sheffield Wednesday 2.
Achtung, Millwall.
Well, the teams are out for the second half, dear listeners. What can you say? 2-0 down. I've not seen anything to give me any impression that we've got the kind of fight required to make a comeback like we did back in 1990s. When was that classic game, the 4-2 home win at the Coldblow Lane, when we came back from 2-0 down against Sheffield Wednesday? 4-2. I think Jimmy Carter scored that. I can't remember now, a long while ago, but that was a very different side, a very different setup, different spine. And what we didn't see after the first goal in that first half was any kind of spine. Sheffield Wednesday were slaloming through our central areas like they didn't exist. And I remind everyone, if you didn't read reminding, this is a team, Sheffield Wednesday is a team that's second from bottom in the table. So I know we're looking like Barcelona by the end of the half. We were just looking like Sunday morning sides, my only comparison. There we are. Anyway, second half is underway, as you would have gathered. Stadium is considerably emptied. Joe Edwards apparently on Wednesday said that we didn't need the hairdryer treatment at half-time when we were 3 goals down. With 2 goals down today, oh my word, that was awful from Joel Shineman, giving the ball away to the white shirts. So I don't think Sheffield Wednesday can believe their luck. Apparently QPR are winning at the moment, I'm reading on the WhatsApp group. How many goals have we conceded in recent weeks? There's 4 on Wednesday night, 2 today, 6 goals there. There's 2 on the weekend, 8 goals. We're leaking goals like a sieve. You can hear what the crowd think of it around me, listeners. Rightly so, because, I know it's a cliche to say this, but people put a lot of time, effort and money into coming here. This is, I think John said it on one of his voice notes in the week. He comes up from the south coast. Wherever you're coming in from, there's time, effort, and it's not easy to come to football. It's always easier not to. And to have what's been served up today and in the week and in recent matches is a disgrace, in my opinion. Doug in Sweden's turning off the telly. He's had enough. He said Doug's theory is something happened before the QPR away game. We fully expected there to win at QPR, and we just didn't turn up. We haven't turned up since. He says he's turning off the telly. We're playing at home to a bottom 3 team, and no one will be surprised if we get beat 4-0. I'd make it right. I wish I could beam myself back home, listeners, but I stay here for you. At least in League One, I won't be bothered with tourists all around me, listeners, will I? I'll have the whole of my block 1 back, Birdship corner. Probably won't get the Birdship there. There's a little ball from Zian trying to find Tom Bradshaw on a run through, but it's cut out by the central defence. Tom Bradshaw looks like a midget compared with those 2 defenders that he's trying to battle against, but that was a nice little take and turn there. This is Denor. Gets clattered. Free kick Millwall. Just talking to Matt Webb at half-time, and like a lot, I think. I'm talking about going to Southampton. I've got tickets. I've got a railway ticket down there as well, listeners. I don't think you can give them away now. It's probably an object lesson in the economics, the value of how it can come and go according to the demand. If you want a Southampton ticket, give me a shout, listeners. And an over 60 railway ticket as well. Big shout out to Steve Bowler, who's emailed me saying that the Joe Edwards project sounds like a dodgy early mid-70s progressive funk jazz workout band. I don't think he'll make 5 o'clock today, Steve, I'm afraid, mate, but we'll see. This is Sheffield Wednesday on the break forwards. There's a ball through for the 45 there. It's collected by Sarkic. I hesitate to say this to your listener. We're still 2-0 down. If we can get a goal, we could yet break this cycle of not coming back from behind. And if we're not that far out of the game, that's what I'm trying to say. If we can work something, then we have a chance to scrape a point despite the shambles that we've seen. This is Jake Cooper now. There's a ball into Tom Bradshaw. He finds his way to Zian. Shot wide right, just. I think it might have been touched wide by the goalkeeper. That's better. It's right side corner, Millwall. 53 minutes. A goal would also transform the mood around the Den, which was pretty toxic at the end of the first half. It'd be nice to get rid of that. In comes the cross. It's deep. It's headed on target, straight at the goalkeeper there. I think that was Zian. Headed with power, but straight at the goalkeeper. Taken on the line. 54 minutes. A few tweets that I can pick up. Macca says the players have been a disgrace to the shirt. Have a look at yourself, says Macca. Halfway line says Edwards has retreated to the bench. Sorry, mate, not good enough. Show some bollocks and lead, especially where it's uncomfortable. Andrew MFC says Edwards seems a decent enough bloke and talks a good game, but he's well out of his depth. There's that phrase again. It needs to happen today if we're going to have any chance of staying in this league. Enough games left if the right appointment is made. That must be on the ball's mind now, listeners, must it? This is Casper Denor surging forwards inside his Roman essay. Fleming gets clipped down. Referee lets play go on. This is Fleming wins a free kick. Fairly good central position just outside the D. So that's, you can get a flavour of the online comment. You get a flavour from the in-game experience. But that could transform with this free kick. It's a decent position. It's a Zian special. And still time to make some kind of comeback in this desperate game, listeners. Absolutely desperate situation. We'll find them. Have put themselves in. I say don't find themselves here. It's not coming from nowhere. It's what we've created for ourselves. So Fleming to take. Into the wall. And ball breaks now off the heel of George Honeyman. I think one or two players out there are absolutely shot, listeners. They're playing like zombies. Isn't that a song? I walk with a zombie. The ball breaks. Millwall now on the break, left side. Crowder into it. Danny Mack on the left. What will he do? Nothing on for him. George Honeyman. Ryan Leonard on the right. He's got Brooke Norton-Cuffy now on the right. Brooke takes his man on. Can he get? No, he's going to come back to George Honeyman. Floats a little ball into the middle. Headed clear. He'll keep possession. Flurry. I've actually stood up out of my seat, listeners. That's the measure of electricity that's pumping through the Den at the moment. 58 minutes. This is the 45. He's been a bit of a pain in Aris. Good tackle there by Tanganga. There's going to be a throw-in from the left. Millwall substitutions. This is Saville. Looks like Watmore's coming in. So Saville's coming in for Honeyman. He's looked a bit shell-shocked, to be honest with you, George Honeyman. And Ryan Leonard comes in, Saville comes in for Ryan Leonard. So that's ticking towards 60 minutes, listeners. Millwall being forced backwards. Crowd won't like that. All the way back to Sarkic, who's got to clear it. Does sideways pass. Fannying around with it as will be the traditional route. Anyway, this is Casper Denor now on the break forwards. Nice ball forwards. This is Duncan Watmore on the left. What can he do with it? He cuts inside. Will he have a go? He will. Oh, the goalkeeper kicks it away on the line. Nice break. Better, listeners. 63 minutes, left side corner. Dan Tadman says their goalkeeper, Sheffield's goalkeeper, is 19 years old. I didn't know that. Playing at the Den, we should be peppering him with shots, putting him under pressure. There's a ball break. This is Imaku on the left side. What can he do? Jinks it down the left. He fires it into the danger zone, but it's cleared at the near post by a defender. A little bit of intent there from Nidemo. Dan continues. It's sad that we've lost our identity. I think we have lost our identity, listeners. No free kick given, allowing Wednesday to break. Great tackle. Oh, great tackle there by George Saville, straight in on the man. Both players rolling around on the floor. The 10's down and Saville's down. Kears O'Mara says this is the worst state he's seen the club in since Ian Holloway. Players not wanting to even fight for the shirt. We should have got Muscat held out. It's absolute disgrace from top to bottom. They're making a mockery of everything that John Berylson built. Smithy says it could well be Joe Edwards' last game. I think it probably is likely to be Smith. I hope he's tearing into them all the players, he says. Call them for what they are, shit, cunt, bottle jobs. I don't think he is. I think that might be the problem. That might be the problem, Smithy. I'm not sure that he commands the respect amongst the players that a more substantial figure might do. It's sad but true, I think. I think he's probably a very good coach. Well, clearly is a very good coach because we know where he's played and what he's done. But that's a different thing to football management, which is about that indefinable thing, charisma. Riz. How much riz does he have? I think he's a lovely bloke. He gives you every impression, the kind of bloke that if your daughter brought him home on a Sunday afternoon with prospects of marriage, you'd be very, very happy. But is he a football manager? I don't think he is. They tend to be rather nasty bastards generally, don't they? Free kick anyway. This is George Saville on the right side. 5 minutes to go of regular time, 85 minutes. It's a right-sided free kick. It'll be so Millwall to get a late goal and give ourselves no time to get into the game. Run, Dave, run. Just posted the meme of the woman looking over at a man staring into space in bed. Her saying, I bet he's thinking about other women. And we were 3-1 up at half-time to secure the playoffs versus Blackburn. So it was a free kick. I was miles away. Listen, I was looking through X for Millwall-related content and my mind became fixed on other matters. That's the level of excitement that we've had this afternoon. I started drifting off reading an article on Twitter. Anyway, this is Millwall in possession. We're into the last 2 minutes of regular time, plus however much added time there is. We're having to listen to away fans again, taking the piss out of us, and we've shown very little across the whole game. I can't comment on the penalty shout that John's mentioned. Whether we'll see it tomorrow on YouTube, I don't know. But it's been a piss-poor performance, absolute piss-poor performance. And I don't know about you, dear listeners, but I'm just bored with piss-poor showings at Millwall. We've seen not even a hint of any kind of footballing cohesion this afternoon. So whatever's gone on behind the scenes, whatever the situation is with the squad and the manager, they're clearly at odds with each other. Joe Edwards is not going to pull us out of trouble. He's going to dig us deep. I think I have to, regretfully, like I'm on the Apprentice, I have to say, Joe, you're fired. Here come Wednesday on the right side. That's dealt with by Tanganga. Was that 6 minutes, did I hear? Wasn't paying attention, listeners. That's not much of a thing for a podcaster, a leading podcaster to say. Gary, 1885, sums it up nicely. He says, if we can't beat this lot today, we're fucked. Simple as that. I think, Gary, we are fucked, mate. I've seen nothing in this side that says to me they've got anything like the amount of spirit and vim required to fight their way out of a paper bag. And yeah, Joe Edwards, yeah, of course. I can't see him surviving till 5 o'clock, listeners. I don't like saying that. I'm not someone that likes to see people sacked from their jobs, but it's not up to it. It's been a shambolic performance overall, lacking in any kind of spirit. And if you know anything about Millwall, you've got to come up with spirit. Beyond all else, skill can come in a long way second to spirit. What's the answer here, listeners? 4-4-2, back to basics. Drop the pretensions to be playing any kind of modern game. We've got to go to Southampton next week. God help us. This was a big 6-pointer game. Shot over the bar, wide left. There it is. Diabolical performance, tunnels out, security around the players' entrance. There we are. Millwall 0, Sheffield Wednesday 2.
Achtung, Millwall.
Next up on the show, huge good morning. Unfortunately, always in these dire circumstances is Graham Payne. Welcome back again, Graham. Another misery show for you, mate.
I think they're all misery shows at the moment, mate. Yeah. Morning, Nick.
Aren't they?
Yeah.
It was bleak and grim and dire yesterday. I find, Graham, that we every show I'm doing lately, I keep consoling myself with the thought it can't get much worse than this, but it does. Awful display yesterday.
Yeah, shocking, mate. You know, he summed it all up. I was talking to the guy next to me, and after 20 minutes, he said, "Would you take a 0-0?" I said, "I would." You know, just to get a point or something. It was
Just to
so.
get a point on the board.
Yeah.
Oh, mate, if only, if only. It's been a disastrous week, dear listeners. Joined now by yesterday's 2-0 defeat, justified defeat by Sheffield Wednesday, second from bottom of the table, Graham. I'll rub the salt in the wounds. What's that? That's 2-1 at Coventry, 4-0 against Ipswich, and now 2-0 to Sheffield. One goal scored in 7 days, 3 games. 8 goals conceded, and we just looked totally bereft of leadership and direction from top to bottom, from the management, off the field, on the field. Wherever you look at Millwall Football Club at the moment, it looks like it's like the Marie Celeste, the legend of the Marie Celeste, Graham, where the ship's drifting with no crew. I don't know. I don't know how many different ways we can put this, but it was just a dire performance yesterday, mate, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And, you know, as I was walking up looking at the team, I thought, you know, he's gone the same again. Why didn't he try something different? 4 at the back. He tried that in the second half against Ipswich. All right, it was a training game, really. But, you know, to go 5 at the back again and the same front three, you know, I know, you know, no, I'm not digging out SA, but, you know, we hadn't created nothing. I thought he would try Mayer, give the kid a go on the left wing and, you know, something different. But he went to 5 at the back again, and as you say, it was just
Yeah.
dire, absolutely dire.
I mean, I suppose there's two arguments. One is, as you've just said, and I think I'm probably inclined to reshuffle the pack and try something. We've not really seen the new signing. He's only 18, so maybe they're thinking it's a lot of responsibility to heap on a very young pair of shoulders. But it was just another. Um, it was another so-so performance. What struck me, and I think I made this point in the kind of in-game comment, Graham, is that our good phase is rapidly receding, because we had about half an hour against Middlesbrough where we looked good. That was a cup game that I keep going on about. That reduced to 20 minutes at Coventry. And then there was about a 10-minute spell against Ipswich where we didn't look too bad. Yesterday didn't even have that. So it's come down to 0 now. That the good spell was gone. We got nothing but drudge and dreary after that. I mean, there was huff and puff. I wouldn't say we were in the game. We weren't out of it. Neither team were really impressing yesterday. But the first goal, as ever, did for us. And defending, I was just looking at the so-called extended highlights that I pay a £5 a month to watch, listeners, which was, you know, basically it was nothing. And then there was this break forwards. There was a chance. They had a long throw that bobbled across the face of our goal, Graham. I think that was probably the first hint that yesterday was going to be a disaster game, because I mean, I'm no footballer, Graham, but first rule is you don't let a throw-in bounce in your own 6-yard box, which is what happened. And I think the Coventry forward had a clear header on goal, which was saved well. I think it turned out to be offside, or there was pushing or something, but
Yeah.
it was a good save by Sarkic. But that was the first hint that yesterday wasn't going to be a good day for us, mate.
No, yeah, you're right. I mean, but as you say, these good spells that we seem to have at the start of the games, you know, but we don't. Yesterday, we didn't create nothing. Did they? I can't
Nothing
remember
at all.
nothing.
At
You
all.
know, and
No.
for all the mistakes, you know, which obviously the defence is just shot to pieces. We're not. Well, you've just said it. We scored 1 goal in 3 games. You know, we're not
Yeah,
creating nothing
yeah.
either. It's not as like we can say, well, we might have a chance if we get a couple of goals, but we're not. And I think the most
No.
damning stat I think you probably mentioned it on previous shows. We've not come from behind in a game to win it since October 2022, when we came from behind against West Brom and beat them. So,
Well, this is it. I mean, that's. I mean, obviously, at the moment, Joe Edwards is getting the feeling the heat online in the stadium.
yeah,
You know, anyone that's listening to this show would have heard the booing and whatever comment got I picked up. I mean, I'm not near the I imagine the West Lower. They're going to be giving him stick down there. So you know, that's the nature of the job. You take on football management. How cut out he is for it, Graham, we'll come back to in a moment. But no, I mean, uh, that also includes the Gary Rowett era. I mean, I notice a
yeah.
lot of people now trying to rehabilitate Gary Rowett online, like he's some kind of lost genius, you know, that we threw away, cast aside, like the ex-girlfriend or something. You know, well, he walked away, number one, and secondly, that stat that you've just said included some pretty poor runs. I mean, I know we got close to the playoffs, and we weren't far off it against Blackburn. But I mean, there was a lot of falling over our own shoelaces to get there. I mean, I went up to Wigan, and I won't forget that in a hurry. So you know, we're not talking about like a Pep's love child here, are we? We're talking
No,
about a bloke that has produced this squad that seems to have no balls and no backbone. That's what strikes me over these performances of recently, in this week especially. No backbone.
no, definitely no backbone. No, as you say, no balls. It's just, they're just. Well, I don't even think they're even going through the motions. But another thing I would have done yesterday. I know it's like I would have took the captaincy off Cooper because he's having a mare as it is, and the
Mm.
captaincy on top. I would have given it to someone else. Said, look, you've had your, have a break, Jake.
There you go.
Even maybe,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
maybe even have dropped him yesterday. If I with the four at the back, I'd have probably gone with Tanganga and Leonard. But it's just. I feel sorry for
No,
Edwards in a way, but he's out. I just think he's out of his depth, and them players have just, as I said, I think I posted on your X feed that if he goes
mm.
and someone comes in, we're still going to need a miracle with that squad of players to stay up. I really believe that. You know,
Well, I mean, the easy option, if you like, listeners, is to sack the manager. I mean, and there's calls for it. You're reading the same stuff as me, Graham, online.
mm,
So, you know, and there's certainly opinion being expressed in the den yesterday as to Joe Edwards. I kind of partly feel sorry for him, but this is the business that he's put himself into, and
true.
you know, it's one thing being a head coach at some pretty plush setups, Chelsea and Everton, where you've got plenty of talent that's brought to you. You're not often not having to motivate. So that's what he's put himself into to test himself. I think he's failing that test at the moment. But also failing are the squad that are embarrassing us, embarrassing themselves. They're embarrassing us because you watched that first goal, Graham. I think Ryan Leonard, if he doesn't get nutmegged, it looks like it. It looked like it in real time from the distance I was at. It looks like it on screen. The 45 looked like a very handy winger, breaks down the left side, puts in a decent cross. But Jake Cooper watches it kind of go past him
Mm,
inside his own. That's his office. That's where his place of work is, inside that 6-yard penalty area. He's got to clear that. It don't even. It just gets past him. It might as well have been me out there or
yeah,
you,
yeah, yeah.
and
You're
then
right.
put in at the far post.
Yeah,
You know, that's dire defending. That's Sunday morning defending. That's appalling. Um, and the same for the second goal, which was that was a ball down the middle, I think, where we give, I think it's Bannon, who's their decent midfielder. Everyone said
yeah,
we should have signed. I think we give him time and space, no challenge from the halfway line going forwards. And he puts a ball between Leonard and Tanganga for the bloke to get in on goal and finish. Pretty straightforward goal, actually. But then, we're just not putting up any opposition to it. And same as we saw against Ipswich, same yesterday. That's damning on the squad. So we can rant and rave, or online people can rant and rave about Edwards all they like. But I still come back to the squad. I come back to the senior figures in that team because they're not
yeah.
doing their job for him.
No, they're not. You're right. You're spot on, Nick. And the squad have either I don't know if they've either down tools, just don't have him, or I don't know what they've just they've just. I mean, you've also got this situation. I know you shouldn't come into it, but them senior players, all of them are out of contract at the end of the season. I think You know, 5.
Mm,
And
mm,
you
yeah,
think where are we going here? You know, because I'm sure I think you've mentioned. I'm sure Edwards, if by some hook or crook he stays and we stay up, them 6 will probably go in the summer. You know, they're not going to be part of his plans yet.
well, I wouldn't keep them. I wouldn't
No,
keep any of
no, I
them.
wouldn't. No, but he's
You
asking
know,
them to get him out of trouble, isn't he? Basically, and what's going.
yeah, yeah.
You
Well,
know
he's
what?
dependent on them at the
Yeah,
moment, unless
yeah,
he makes real radical changes. Unless he
yeah.
makes real radical changes, which is another thing. I'm just as I'm talking, John, I'm just checking on Twitter to see if there's any corner flag
Well,
posting. There isn't. There hasn't been much at all since yesterday
I was going to say, there's a
on
lot
the
of talk
Millwall.
that they didn't post anything on the Mill Twitter from half time, just a full time. That was it. Nothing. No,
Just
it's
a
been,
score half
yeah,
time. I mean, there's not much they can say. I mean,
no,
we live in this social media driven age where whatever goes on the official site is like people hang on, live and die on it. But to some extent, that don't bother me. I mean, it's still there's been no posting about Joe Edwards' position. He did a post match interview, which we'll come back to in a moment. Um, but still, he seems to have the investment of the club. He's still sitting there. I'm not sure how much we'd gain or lose by sacking him now, Graham. I mean, where do you stand on it, mate? I mean, I think it's an easy response, and you can't. I would sack the squad, but you can't sack the squad, can you?
no, that I
You're
wouldn't
stuck
know.
with them.
But unfortunately, if we're going to have any chance, which is to me is a very slim one now, of staying up, unfortunately, I think he's got to go. I do. I think whether they can get someone in, just to take it to the end of the season.
As a
But
temporary thing till the
as a
end of the
temporary
season,
thing,
it's probably going to be Adam Barrett. That's the
No,
problem,
well, yeah,
Graham.
he can go as well, as far as I'm concerned. He just hangs around, and you think he's been there for under Harris, Rowett now, Edwards. I think he should have
Yeah,
gone
he's
when
a survivor. I'll give him
Rowett,
that much.
he should have gone
Yeah,
when Rowett went to me. But I don't know. Yeah, I think I'm going to say I've said it on that group chat that I think
yeah.
unfortunately, I think he has to go. I do. I know people, maybe I'll get slated for it. I don't know, but I just, I think if we're going to have any chance, as I say, which I think now is a very slim chance of staying up, we need, someone to come in and just, I don't know, maybe go, 4-4-2. I don't know, something radical that just to make us not stop conceding these silly goals and give us a chance in the game. Because as it stands, if we look at the record, all the games we've won this season, we've kept a clean sheet. So if we concede a goal, you more or less it's game over.
We're done for.
Yeah,
We're done for. Yeah, I mean, there was I mean, you've mentioned the statistic about not coming back from behind since God knows it's Battle of Trafalgar or something. We
yeah.
haven't come back from behind, So how that's going to change in short, I don't know. We don't have any presence up front. I mean, I like Tom Bradshaw. I love his energy and his persistence, but he was he's like a midget up against Andre the Giant, and so giant haystacks out there. Yesterday, the guys were towering above him. He's not going to win anything in the air. The balls just kept coming back to a white shirt constantly. Um, and there's been no advance of tactics. The squad seemed to have given up on Joey. So, my own conclusion is, sadly, he's probably got to go. I think he's probably a decent. Well, I know he's a decent coach. He's got nothing to prove on the coaching side of things, but it's a different thing to being a manager, Graham, because
Yeah,
that's about force of personality as much as it is about your technical knowledge of the game. It's about can you get more out of a bunch of blokes you know than they have. I mean, I think at his best, Neil Harris probably was the nearest we've had for a while to a charisma manager, where he got more out of a squad than there was really in there individually.
yeah,
And that runs out of road in the end. It ran out of road for Harris. I don't know that Rowett was a charisma manager because he's never struck me as having much charisma, but
that's one thing he
he,
didn't
he
have.
clearly he clearly knew how to set a team up and give them instructions of what to do and what not to do. And I think that was his strength. And the overperforming came from boring football and being unashamedly boring, but setting up not to concede. And that's what got us that far. Joe's problem, I think, is he seems like a lovely boy, and I think I said if if your daughter brought him home for Sunday lunch, you'd probably be thinking, oh, what a nice boy she's brought home here. But um, he doesn't strike me as he's not going to rule the dressing room with fear, and he's not going to at the moment. He's not ruling the dressing room with depth of knowledge. So I don't know what I don't think he has the respect of the dressing room personally. I've not seen any evidence to show that he does.
I agree with
Which
that totally,
again
Nick.
says taxi from Mr. Edwards. But that brings back Adam Barrett. I did notice yesterday, I think one of the posts said that, or one of his interviews, he said that the players had called a meeting after Ipswich to thrash things out. So much good that did. That, but, who called the meeting? What was the point of the discussion, and what did it achieve? It's achieved nothing. Maybe they'll call another meeting for Monday morning. I don't know. But I mean, should the players be doing that? I think it was said as a kind of a positive that they're taking responsibility for the debacle. But really, it's the manager that's got to be, he's got to be calling the meeting, and he's got to be telling people where it's all going wrong. There's just so many parts of our club at the moment that seem so wishy-washy, Graham. Do
Well,
you agree? I mean, does it
totally,
feel?
totally, Nick, from top to bottom. You know,
Yeah, I
the
agree.
the whole club. It seems we've had this, really good. As you say, I think you've said it previously. Millwall is a site, goes around in cycles. We've had a good
Yeah.
cycle, 5-6 years. The unfortunate death of John Berylson, and it's just I don't know who's actually is James Berylson actually running the club or not? Right? Is he overseeing it all? Is it Kavanagh and Aldo or doing all the, you know? It's
Well, ultimately, it's James Berylson's paying for it. That's for sure. Whether
yeah,
unless he's living in London, which I imagine he won't want to do because he's based in the US. That's where his family and ties are. So he's probably not going to want to do. So he entrusts it to Kavanagh, who is chief executive of the club. He's like his local Prince Regent or whatever you want to call it.
yeah,
He runs it. But what strikes me with the club is that there are layers of buffers between responsibility. So Kavanagh, it takes very little public public role, as far as I can tell. The odd statement that's like so densely worded that you give up reading after about 2 lines because it's just
yeah,
words and words and words of nothing. And then everybody else, they're all decent boys. I mean, I know Billy, I know Max. So I was sat on trains with Max, talked to him coming back from far-flung northern outposts. So they're all decent people, but it just strikes me that there's no one in that's taking control of this situation. I mean, I keep seeing Alex Aldridge's name thrown around online. Well, I've met Alex in the past, but there's no visible. The person who's visibly responsible for it is poor old Joe Edwards, who looks like a little lost lamb that's wandered onto the M1 off the farmer's field, and
yeah. He does.
he's got HGVs bearing down on him. So I don't know who takes responsibility for it. It seems like there's a lot of people probably thinking it's somebody else's role to be taking control of this situation. But at the moment, as we speak, Joe's still in charge. We're going to go to Southampton
Oh
next
my
week,
God.
which fills me with dread.
Yeah.
And the buffer that we had, Graham, has now gone
Oh,
down to 1 point with QPR finding form just as we start losing form.
and they're only
That don't
4
look great,
points
does
behind
it?
us now. Sheffield Wednesday are only
It
4 points behind us. So, it doesn't look great. And I just don't. To me, maybe I'm wrong, but do the club realise the seriousness of this? If we go down, it's not. I've
well,
heard
they've
people say, oh, "Let's go down to League One and reset." It ain't going to be like that now.
no, it's not. Have a look at Charlton. I mean,
Yeah,
they're thankful because they got some opportunity to take the piss out of us for a change.
yeah,
Silly little posts online I've noticed. Like they're looking at League Two at the moment if they can
yeah.
scratch some points out. But yeah, that's where it takes you to. It's a waste. And we've been in. I spent too much of my bloody life in the third division, Graham. So have you,
Yeah,
mate. So
yeah,
have all the listeners. We
yeah,
know what it looks like, and it's grim. You're playing Fleetwood, And he said Fleetwood Mac. We might we might have a chance if we play Fleetwood Town, not Fleetwood Mac, listeners. I think Stevie Nicks is probably quite useful. Was she up
Yes, she
front?
is.
I don't know. We'll leave that conversation then. So it's a wasteland, and I think I said the other day that for better or for worse, we're getting pretty high crowds at the moment. I don't know what the crowd was yesterday, but often there. In fact, I can have a look. So I don't know what the crowd was. I can have a look, listeners. That's the miracle of the internet. Let's have a look. 17,000 official.
Official, yeah.
Fucking hell! I mean, that was a big turnout from the Sheffield end,
Yeah.
but no way was that a 17,000 crowd. But it's official tickets sold, isn't it? That's how they judge that. But I mean, there was a time that would have been a record attendance at the Den, and it's all going to waste. That's what is giving me the arse.
Yeah, that's what's
It's been,
totally agree, Nick. That's what's giving me the arse. That the fact this year we've had the best crowds we've had. I think it might have been you since. I think the average gate since the war. I might be wrong.
Yeah, we're going back to the kind of 1950s, the old days, of the docks and then when everyone lived around a den,
Yeah. And the clubs,
you're going back to that era.
They've just, I don't know, they let an amazing opportunity just go and
through the fingers.
Through their fingers.
And there's still the thing that also gives me so much giving me the hump, listeners, at the moment. It's not good for your health, really, Graham. But anyway, another thing that's giving me the hump still is there's 13 games to go. This is not a done deal for the season. But the way that the team turned out and played yesterday, they've given up. They've accepted, they've accepted their fate, and that's it. We've still got 13 games to go. We had a cushion. We still have 1 point cushion. If we could find some spine and backbone and maybe get some tactics going where we'll bring out whatever the best is in this team, we've still got every chance to remain in the Championship where we need to be. So it's just such a waste. This is what's doing my head in, the wastefulness of it all. And if the club listen to these shows, I don't know if they do anymore, but you need to have a bloody good look in the mirror at yourselves from top to bottom and ask yourselves, are you doing the best by this club? Because I don't see it at the moment. All I see is an official attendance of 17,000 Mugginses that have turned out to watch utter pony. I mean, Dave Tuttle would have been proud of that performance yesterday, wouldn't he? That would have been in his pomp. That would have been his level. Dave Tuttle for the older listeners. Anyway, I feel better for that.
That's good.
Graham's become like my psychologist, listeners. Every time we get stuffed, which is a lot lately, I get him on Sunday morning. It's like a psychiatrist couch. I pour it out and I feel a lot better afterwards. So anyway, thanks a lot, Graham.
Cheers, anytime, mate. Some people were comparing him. I saw yesterday to Anderson when he was there, but I don't know.
Yes, I mean it's going back a long time. I do go back that far.
Yeah, so do I. But I don't think I've ever I can remember a season where we've been beaten so comprehensively so many times at home. Even when we've been dire, there's been poor seasons, but we've always managed to get a few good results at home. We've just been, this season, I think
we would fight. We would fight. I mean, even under Holloway's, kind of wayward periods, we at least brought the Millwall fight to the table, which we didn't yesterday. I suppose the comparison with Anderson, thinking about it, which I hadn't really made actually, because Anderson's long gone out of my head, but I think one of the strange things with Peter Anderson, Graham, was he actually arrived with a fairly, by the standards of the day, a fairly good resume, you might call it. He'd played abroad, which back then was very unusual. He'd played in Belgium, Antwerp. Yeah. He played for Luton when they were playing in the first division and, looking like a team noted for their flash kits and their flash football. And so he came to us with that kind of sense of promise. And I think as Joe Edwards has come to us with a sense of promise, it's all gone out the window. I think that the promise, whatever it was, has been unfulfilled. And I think that's the similarity with Anderson.
Yeah.
We're at a higher level than under Anderson. That's the other thing I'd say, but there we are. Who knows where this is going to finish, Graham? He's still in charge at the moment, and it looks like, unless we see anything dramatic today, it's like it's going to be for well, for next week at least. And I think that if we carry on as we are with Joe Edwards in charge and the squad not performing for him, we will be doomed very, very soon if we're not doomed already, mate. So,
yeah, as I say, I'm getting to the stage where we get. Well, no, you're right. There's 13 games to go. There's still, quite a way to go. But
it could be turned around if there's the will. If there's the will,
and
I
that's
don't
it.
know that there
If
is
there's the will, yeah. But
No.
as you say, I don't know if there is the will there. But,
No, no, depressing.
Very.
Graham, big thank you for joining me. Depressing Sunday morning, mate. I want to say thank you, Graham Payne. Thank you, mate,
Cheers,
very
Nick.
much.
Achtung, Millwall.
You've only just come off, it's only just been full time, but to have the likes of Idemo and Brook and Longy back on the bench now as options moving forward in tough circumstances, in tough situations, you need every player available to start getting that athleticism back in the squad. It's got to be key for you.
Yeah, for sure. The three names you just mentioned, like you say, is that they all offer a pace and a sharpness that has been missing from our team in a difficult period. It was important to get them on because we need to build them back up to their best. Because you saw today, although it's three decent names on the team sheet that can come off the bench, they all looked rusty, and that's kind of where we're at. So as I say, at the moment for us, unfortunately, everyone part of our group and connected to our club at the moment. Unfortunately, being part of Millwall isn't something you wake up really excited about at the moment. It's a grind, and the only way through it is standing up and fighting, and I'm convinced we'll continue to do that.
Huge thank you to Graham for joining me on a Sunday morning. Never easy. It's what I call a death call, Sunday morning death call, dear listeners. I just want to close this edition of Achtung Millwall with just a thing that's cropped up last night, which is this very bizarre club video post-match interview with Joe Edwards. We were just listening there to the voice of Joey Edwards speaking after the game with Max, regular kind of as best you can post-match interview after a debacle like that 2-0 loss yesterday versus Sheffield Wednesday. But people have seized upon that end phrase about how it's become a bit of a grind coming into Millwall, and obviously that begs the question, or begs the riposte, shall we say, as to if it's a grind for you. How much of a grind is it for fans that are, following the club up and down the country, or possibly down to Southampton? I don't know how many we've sold, about 2,500. How many will go down there next week now? I don't know. I'm due to go down there. Whether I'll go or not, I'm going to see how I feel on the day, to be honest with you listeners. But anyway, the obvious riposte is, if it's a grind for you, how much of a grind is it for the fans? And that's a very good point. I don't read that much into it. I just think that Joe Edwards is clearly affected by the current situation. Whether that means he's cut out for the rough and tough, hard world of football management will be another question. Because unfortunately, whether you like it or not, that is part of the gig. I was just watching Moyes on David Moyes of West Ham. Who's getting flack for not winning enough with them. And, he's clearly a manager that's got used to handling pressure like this. And some can and some can't. Joe, I'm not sure whether he's cut out for it. And I don't know that I'd be cut out for it, dear listener. Would you be cut out for it? Having people screaming abuse at you, whatever the rights and wrongs of it. And online stuff, all sorts. And I'm just wondering whether this is the harsh reality of, of the game for Joe now. But anyway, leave that to one side. He's finished off that interview with that phrase of it being a bit of a grind and no one's excited to come into the Mill, which, is ill-judged. It's a casual comment made at the end of a tough day, and he's got a camera stuck in front of his face, which is part of the job. And he's got to come up with some comments. I personally think there's not that much to it. I just think if you've ever done anything like this, commenting on a match straight after, it's the toughest thing you can do. And if you're emotionally invested in it like Joe Edwards is, then it's really, really difficult. So that's the excusing part of that. It is an ill-judged and ill-phrased point. People have seized upon it online because that's what people like to do. They like to get outraged online, and I think there's a strong pile-on quality now to what people are seizing upon with it. I am amazed. My point of just doing this little end piece, listeners, I'm amazed that the club allowed that to go out and not hadn't foreseen that phrase could be misconstrued. All it takes is using the most basic video editing system is clip the piece that you're doing without that little bit at the end. You could close that probably a few seconds earlier, just have it finishing. Even if it looks a bit rough, you cut that bit out, because that's going to leave Joe now out on a limb. He's being left out to dry there, and I'm amazed whether through lack of foresight, which equals a certain measure of failing to do your job by the club's PR team, or whether, I don't think so, that he's being left hung out to dry on that. I don't think so. I hope not, because that's very, very unfair on him. It's an ill-judged comment. It should have been cut, and the people that should have cut it are those that did the video. That's all I'm going to say on it, because I think people they're clutching their pearls online and running around saying the vicar's coming round shortly, and with, you know, the front room's in a mess. So I'm Millwall-like, but then again, maybe it's very Millwall-like. I don't know. But anyway, there it is. I should be doing the voicemail show later on today, dear listeners, so expect that as part 2. But this part 1 of this week's edition of Achtung Millwall thankfully closes there, because I've had a belly full of Millwall and its shenanigans for one day. So until the next edition, which will probably be tomorrow, it's Arrivederci Millwall from me, Nick Hart, and bye for now.
Achtung, Millwall.